If you ask a professional recruiter to give you advice on how to answer interview questions, many of them will say, be detailed and concise. Be detailed and concise. Detailed and concise sounds like an oxymoron because they seem contradictory. Detailed implies providing a lot of information and going really deep when answering a question. And concise implies answering the question briefly. So, what does it really mean when we say answered in a manner that's detailed yet concise? You can go as deep as you want. You can go as deep as you want as long as you are within the limits of the question, as long as you are answering the question. An example would be, let's say you're asked to explain how DHCP works. If you say a DHCP is a network device and there's a router and there's a switch and there's a firewall and there's a load balancer and there's accelerator and there's this and that, you're not really answering the question. You're not really speaking about DHCP. You're going off on a tangent. You're talking about other things, and that's not being concise, and it's also not being detailed because you're not going really deep into the question. You're not going really deep into answering the question. You're not going deep into DHCP. You're talking about other things. However, if you're within the limits of the question and you're answering the question and you're speaking about DHCP, you can speak as much as you want, and the more details you provide, the merrier. Meaning, if you answer by saying DHCP is a way of assigning an IP address to a device, that's a correct answer. If you say there's two ways to provide an IP address to a device, static configuration or DHCP, that's even a better answer because you're providing more details and you're still focused on DHCP. If you say there's two ways to provide an IP address to a device, if it's version 4, it's manual and DHCP, and if it's version 6, if the device is a version 6 device, then there's three ways. There's manual, there's DHCP, there's Slack, stateless auto configuration. That's even a better answer because you're providing more details. Now, if you say DHCP is a way to provide IP addresses to devices, and you can mention everything that we mentioned before. Now, if you add and say DHCP is a way to assign IP addresses to devices, and there's 4 DHCP messages. Discover, where the client sends a discover message to discover the server. Offer, this is when a server responds with an offer that it will provide DHCP services, and then request. This is when the client asks for an IP address, and acknowledgement. This is when a server provides the IP address. Now, if you go even a level deeper and say DHCP works with UDP, that's even better. Now, if you mention everything that I've mentioned, and you say when a PC sends a discover message, it adds a TCP header, an IP header, but the source IP will be 0000 because the PC doesn't have an IP address at this point. It will have an IP address soon when it receives the acknowledgement. That's even going deeper into explaining DHCP. Now, if you mention everything that I mentioned, and you add that although DHCP has 4 messages on version 4, discover, offer, request, acknowledgement, these same messages have different names in IP version 6, like solicit, advertise, etc. So the more details you provide, the merrier. Just provide more details, but make sure you're focused on the question, and then provide as much details as you can. It's going to give an impression that you're very knowledgeable, and you truly are, because if you're really able to go really deep into any given technology, it means you are knowledgeable in that technology. So it's going to give an impression that you're knowledgeable. You're going to demonstrate that you have communication skills, and most likely you're going to get the job. Thank you.